haven't tried everything. You've just been doing different versions of the same shit. Yo, Angus Beef here. Massive thanks for stopping by and clicking this video, legend, and taking some time to hear some real talk from your boy. So I can't tell you how often I've heard the one-liner, fam, where it's like, I've tried everything, I just can't lose weight. It's just like, well, no, you haven't. It's just that you keep doing similar versions of the same shit. Now, once you're educated, fam, what you come to realize is that vast majority of the trending conventional diets going are all based off of the same sort of scenario, which is putting you into a rigorous calorie deficit. So if you look at ketogenic principles, for example, right? Anything keto, how it's achieving a calorie deficit is by getting you to eat fuck all carbs, moderate/minimal protein, and heaps of fat, and that will put you into a calorie deficit, likely too much of a rigid one, and you probably guess what's going to happen there, because we do very well as a society that are active and stuff like that. If we're cutting out carbs, cutting out a food group is dangerous, and yeah, naturally that's where someone typically, more often than not, will start developing a pretty shit relationship with carbs and food in general. As soon as they start trying to revert back to having carbs or social situations that involve them, I find that's typically where they'll just YOLO hard on carbs, and then it becomes a struggle of just keto, off the wagon, on and off the wagon, right? So see what I mean? Example. Second example, intermittent fasting, right? My view of it is that it's a tool, right? If you have a solid relationship with food, it can be a fairly effective tool to be able to manage how you spread your meals across the day to suit you and the demands of your day to day. But a lot of the diets that are focused on intermittent fasting have you forcing a fasting window that's too big for you to manage, and therefore in your feeding window, quite difficult to stick to the small amount of calories that it's based on, and then you'll typically overfeed and then feel guilty. You'll probably extend your fasting window by even longer the following day, rinse and repeat. It makes a cycle of just a disordered relationship with food if you're not careful. Let's look at, say, paleo, similar to keto. In my opinion, it's pretty much similar, but except a bit more protein, pretty much no carbs whatsoever, lots of fat, and some other, sort of caveman-oriented stuff, weaved into it, which is fine if you're all about that. But once again, it's just a form of restriction and a means of boxing you into rules that aren't necessary. If you look at veganism, a lot of people get onto that, not necessarily for ethical reasons in terms of trying to eat non-meat and that sort of stuff. So it's like if you're doing it for weight loss reasons, fair enough. But rest assured that it's like if you're trying to cut out meat for that reason and you're boxing yourself into vegan lifestyle, I've seen many times a lot of people just, revert out of that hard struggle with their relationship with food, and it becomes a struggle to shift weight long term. What else is trending? Let's look at, there's heaps, like, you see what I mean? So it's like all these trending things, all these trending diets, right? If you've jumped from one to one to one to one to one, and then you've done the ones that are based on, say, for example, 2 or 3 shakes and then a clean meal, or even just got on, say, for example, Duramine and appetite suppressant stuff, or even done the 5-2, or even just tried tracking calories and macros and just gone super low intake thinking you'll get shredded quickly. Like, these sort of things, they're all approaches, don't get me wrong, they can work. But the reason why it didn't work for you is because you couldn't keep it up, and then you reverted back to past habits, and then obviously you probably aren't aware of the psychology that shifts that happens internally in terms of your cells, your brain recognition of that pattern that just happened, and then you keep trying to force the same shit, which at the end of the day your body just perceives as like excessive restriction. It perceives it as a stress and adapts accordingly. So the thing here is, like, for anyone that thinks that they've tried everything and can't lose weight, I'm just like, no, false. False. Because the way forward from this is to be able to actually take your foot off the dieting pedal and learn how to move forward in a non-diet oriented manner. Because truth be told, fam, there was a time where I used to think that I tried everything and couldn't lose weight. Take it from me, who started dieting at a very early age of around 13. And my very first one was a no-fat diet because it's what I saw online and it made sense at the time. So it's like I got into the game very early and I lost a lot of self-belief earlier on in the game, and so it's like, rest assured that it's like if you had tried everything and nothing works, that means that you pretty it's just they've just been doing the same shit over and over. And sure, of course, over time there's issues and imbalances that happen with hormones and stuff like that, and that's why I believe that it's like, for someone to truly win, yes, you need to understand energy balance effectively, but you also need to understand hormonal balance and how to work with your body as much as possible. Because yes, a calorie deficit governs everything. It's a hierarchy of what matters most for when it comes to being able to lose weight or gain weight, that sort of thing. But hormones will also come into play to relevant degrees in terms of progesterone, testosterone, estrogen. Then you've got ghrelin, leptin, stuff like that. There's a lot of hormones that come into play that will dictate whether your metabolism will play the game to be able to regulate losing weight or not. So when all you do is just force different forms of dieting, put yourself in your body's shoes. Like, of course it's going to adapt and resist your efforts. You see what I mean? So this is why, if I were you, and if this is where you feel like you're lost in, like, what's going to be an awesome approach here is to just get rid of dieting moving forward, take a break from it all, start focusing on maybe laying some new foundations around just stuff that's basic and enjoyable for you to stick to amongst your pretty busy, lifestyle. If, like, say for example, when I start with a new client and they've been burnt by dieting for years in the past before, we don't even start focusing on tracking or anything like that straight away. Like, we focus on just getting in really good lifestyle habits to start forming in terms of eating protein at every meal, eating plants at every meal, knowing how to incorporate pleasure into their eating, drinking lots of water, focusing more on sleep, focusing more on steps, like just stuff that's enjoyable and realistic for them to stick to. So that way we can then, once those habits have been reformed, and kind of just starting to be ingrained a little bit, that's when we can focus on tracking, and then even taking them out of a deficit altogether. A period of time at maintenance can do a world of good for restoring a lot of these, basically this shit that's been going on internally, to then be able to go back into a deficit again later, but in a different way compared to conventional diets. Because there's a lot of pitfalls in conventional diets, fam. If they actually worked, don't get me wrong, like, you might be able to stick to it for a while and lose some weight, but as soon as you can't keep it up, of course you go back to previous habits and you regain all the weight you lost. So that means that approach didn't work for you. For something to work, you need to be able to keep the weight off, and the way that happens is by keeping up the lifestyle habits. So that's where, if I were you, focus on instead on just crafting a lifestyle that actually allows you to work in better sync with your body. And if you're clueless around how to actually do that, because all you know is just various forms of how to diet and being all in or not in at all, get in touch. This is the sort of stuff that I love to free people from in terms of that dieting suckhole, and hence my message of fuck dieting, because it's like, all it does is just cause people to get into shitholes like this, develop a fairly warped relationship with food, have body image issues and stuff like that, and it just makes the game go on for way too long. Because it should be something that's enjoyable, it should be something that's phased in terms of just phases of progression, and if it's something that you don't know how to do, please get in touch. I'd love to see if and how I can help you. But otherwise, if you found this video valuable, I'd love it if you can share this on your social media, that'd be sick. Otherwise, if you have any other questions, feel free to light up the comments below, and let's keep the conversation going, fam. Alright? But I appreciate you for taking the time to watch. See you next time in Anti-Diet TV. Peace.